Friday, August 25th on the Sleepers podcast. It's the last day that we are reading every single YouTube comment in this show's history. But most importantly, it's the return of the one and only Riley Davis. Riley was not here last week. It just flat out. He left us. He wasn't here. We had a lot of sad people. We had a lot of people reach out and say, where's Riley? Is Riley okay? We need more Riley. Well, Riley heard the critics, and Riley is back. Riley, it's great to see your handsome face this morning.
Man, it is great to be with both of y'all. I'm glad to be back. Just know my absence, not to start on too somber of a note, but my grandmother passed last week, and so I was with family at her lovely memorial service. It was great. I'm doing okay. Both of y'all were very gracious in extending your condolences and being understanding. My sister shared at the service. It was amazing and just good time with family. So that being said, glad to be back with y'all.
Glad to have you back, my man.
Carter is very sad, not on Riley's serious somber note, but a serious Carter somber note that Drake's album didn't drop last night.
It's sometimes it's tough. It's just tough when you have your mind set on something and then like, what did I really wake up for today? Like, yeah, I'm podcasting with y'all, but I don't have a Drake album to tap into after this. I had my whole day and weekend planned.
The thing is, he's not kidding. This isn't a bit. We often get asked if certain things are bits. Like, Carter is actually this upset, and that's not going to change. And that makes Riley and my job very difficult because it's going to be hard to do an hour-long podcast with this man when this is the energy we get. But I'm sorry, Cart. I'm thinking of you. I'm sure you'll get through this, and hopefully it drops a week from now. We'll see how it goes.
You want to know what rubs a little salt in the wound just before we actually do move on? Before I went to bed last night, I was like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great when I listen to this album in the morning. I want to place a little bet, too, as I sleep. I want to do Franz Wagner over points. And now Mo Wagner is the one who has 20 in this damn game, and Franz has 8. So it's just like, I get it. God, if you can hear me, I appreciate you. I love everything you do, but please stop giving me your toughest battles, man. I am not your strongest soldier.
You're a big fan of God's work. Is that what I took from this?
I'm huge. but come on, man.
Big time God guy is Carter Elliott.
Okay, relax.
Yeah, I was just that wasn't a troll. I think that's a great way to phrase it. I'm a big fan of God's work.
You can't troll someone in my state.
You're right.
Hey, there's a new J. Cole verse out today with Burna Boy.
The blank am I supposed to do with that?
That's so disrespectful, man. You're a Burna
That is
Boy
disrespectful
fan.
to Cole.
I am.
It is disrespectful to Cole, especially when you have your North Carolina correspondent on the show today.
Yeah, I mean, both those guys are good, but like, I don't have a Drake album.
Okay. What I don't
go
have,
watch.
we're gonna move on. What I don't have is the satisfaction of seeing some 6 feet tall men perform music for 3 hours. I went to the Jonas Brothers concert last night and was hit with the harsh reality that these 3 brothers are 5'6". That's absurd. It was so distracting the whole time. Someone told me that about 20 minutes before the show. I thought I was signing up to see like Bron Wade Bosch, sorry. And I was going to like be debating like, is Nick or Joe LeBron? That was what I intended to figure out. In reality, it was 2 JJ Bareas and like a ball boy that they shouldn't have even let on stage, who they didn't even give Kevin a microphone. It was frustrating, man. It was distracting and frustrating. My wife had a great time, but I did not. So
was Kevin just like chilling to the side as Joe and Nick stole the show, or what?
You know, it just felt a little Make-A-Wishy. Like Kevin played guitar the whole time, but like they open the show and they're coming out from under the stage, and there's like 3 platforms that open up, and each one of them rises out of a different platform. One's in the center and 2 are flanked on the left and right. Mm-hmm. Kevin came up in the center. Like it felt like, and then they didn't let him have a microphone the whole 3-hour show. It was like 60 songs. They did 5 different albums, and I would say 90% of the show was pre-2009. Just not for me. I wanted to hear the new
60 songs?
But yeah, they did 5 albums worth of songs for
Dude,
3
that's
hours.
insane. That is way too much Jonas Brothers. I would have been out after. Let me hear Year 3000 and I'm out.
Year 3000 was solid, but no, their new album slaps. That's the point. John Bellion wrote them a hit album, and they gave it like 10% of their attention. Meanwhile, these guys are literally they're 5'6", Riley. I can't say that enough. It was wildly distracting. So, anyways,
it's been a big week for Make-A-Wish type events. When you look at that Jimmy Butler and Carlos Alcaraz clip, I don't know if y'all talked about it this week. My apologies if I missed it, but the comments were very pro Jimmy with it, like, oh, 2 goats, but like it had serious Make-A-Wish vibes, as like Jimmy Butler's like smiling as Carlos Alcaraz is very, very gently hitting back his serve and trying to rally with him.
Yeah, didn't love that. I would have much rather Carlitos just like buried him and pretended he didn't know what was going on. But maybe we can flip that and get him on a basketball court. Although seeing Carlos like have a broke jumper would probably hurt him in my eyes. Anyways, weird energy this morning. A lot of adversity we have to persevere through today. But Cart is still on the Zoom call, so I give him a lot of credit. That's better than I thought we'd get out of him. Let's do the comments as we've spoken to all week. We have a Discord now. We, starting next week, are going to read every comment, every episode from the Discord, and we will not be reading every single YouTube comment anymore. We're very thankful to everybody that has grown the YouTube portion of this show, and we're thankful to everybody that signed up for the Discord. We got like 30 people over there right now. You get some other stuff in the Discord as well. We just pushed out the first newsletter. I don't know why I acted like we like pushed out a baby with the newsletter, but it's like our baby in a sense. So that's out there. We're going to do that weekly, and we'll probably do some other exclusive like watch along stuff when the season gets here for Discord users. So $9.99, link in the description if you want to join that. And I should say this as well. If you try to join on mobile, Discord like jacks up the price. We haven't been able to figure that out. It seems a little sleazy on Discord's part. Join on your desktop. That's where you can get the $9.99 a month price to join the Sleepers Discord. So, Card, anything to add on the Discord quickly?
No, I would say I'm excited, but I guess I'm excited for what the Discord is becoming. I think it's growing at a pretty good rate, something that makes me happy, and I'm excited for the future of our Discord.
We also have a Reddit now. Somebody started us a Reddit. I think it was some charlatan who is a frequent commenter. So shout out to that. We might have to figure out Reddit at some point, but that might be a step too far for Carter's sad brain this morning. So let's move on to the comments. Fam is in the Discord. He says, haha, just listen to the F-bomb part. I'm just looking out for the brand reputation, knowing you guys are in mainstream media combos. Also, Cart was justified with the Costello rant, but I think Coop is more like Schilling, if anybody. Costello was hashtag tough his last 2 years. Do you like Gavin Schilling as a comp for Carson Cooper?
I do. And I think if Carson Cooper becomes Gavin Schilling, that would be a success.
I don't hate that. I once saw 50 Shades of Grey in theaters, and I sat a row behind Gavin Schilling, and it was as distracting as the Jonas Brothers height for me.
You saw 50 Shades of Grey in theaters?
Yeah. Yep.
Were you by yourself?
No, I was with my now wife. Long-term play. Yeah,
okay.
Long-term play. Ulamog says, actually, Ulamog was roasting Ethan Basila for not putting some paragraph spacing on one of his comments. We hold each other accountable in the Discord. Fam has another question for Bluffs. Ask Bluffs how he got his start. Where does the passion come from?
Let's see, where do I start with my start? The passion. I feel like I've talked about this on here before, maybe even the first pod we did together back in like the summer of, I can't remember if it was 21 or 22, but I grew up as a football guy. That was my sport growing up. It's what I played for most of my life. My first couple of years at UNC, I was a huge Carolina football fan, even more so than a basketball fan. But halfway through college, I decided it was time to convert because I always ended up being let down with Carolina football. So I invested most of my emotional energy into college basketball, leaned more into the sport. Always liked to write. I had a college football blog at some point in college, but I don't reveal that because it's not very good. And then a couple of years ago, I started writing more seriously, picked up some traction, and here we are. But passion for Carolina hoops mainly started in like the early 2010s. I hope that's sufficient.
That's sufficient. I feel like it would be incredibly difficult to not become like a huge college basketball person just if you were a Carolina guy. and then all of a sudden Tyler Hansbrough's there. Like, you have to be. It is what it is.
Right. Right. I held out for a little bit where I don't know, man. I always liked Carolina basketball when I was a student. I didn't grow up a fan or anything, but I would just I would get more excited for Carolina football. I don't know. It was a psychopath move. Although right now, like, I mean, you could argue that Carolina's football outlook is a little bit better than its basketball, although Mac Brown is still the coach. So which means it's going to end in like a 7-5 campaign, but it's all good.
Wait,
Yeah.
you bring up your love for UNC football being stronger. So you're telling me the gravitational pull of Mitchell Trubisky was greater than anything the men's basketball team could have done?
This was actually pre-Trubisky. By the time Trubisky was there, I was a bigger basketball fan.
Who was even the quarterback then?
Bryn Renner, who is like on a golf course somewhere, not talking about Carolina football.
Riley's a football guy at heart, okay? Remember, professional football player, Riley Davis.
It's true.
It is true. One other question from Fam. He says, how hot is too hot outside? Or how hot is too hot to be outside with zero chance of enjoyment? Car, you want to take that?
It's more so about if there's a breeze. If there's a breeze or if the heat's dry, then it's absolutely unbearable. If I had to put a degree on it, though, I would say anything above 85. Yeah, 85 and above.
Riley?
Once it hits 90s, that's when I'm pretty much out, unless it's by like a pool or something.
Yeah. I used to be a heat snob growing up. Like, I just hate outdoors. I'm an indoors guy. I've said that on the show plenty of times. Now that I'm a father, though, opportunities to go do things you want to do are so rare. I golfed in 98-degree weather this week, and I played 18 holes and fought through it on an empty stomach, no less. 93, some are saying it was really a 76. You do what you got to do when you get the time that you get as a father. Ethan Basilla's comment, he says, guys like Cassius, Denzel, and Garza were never able to find their footing in the NBA despite dominating in college, even sometimes against NBA-level talent. Do you believe this has more to do with the difference between the way college is played and coached in comparison to the NBA, or was it more a lack of athleticism? On this topic, do you think Edey even has a chance of being a solid NBA guy? And how was Draymond able to break this mold of just being a good college player and not an NBA guy? Throw it to you, Cart.
Well, I just think more so Draymond is such a, I don't want to say one-off, but it is a one-off because though he does lack, I guess if you want to use the word athleticism, the way he sees the game and his IQ makes up for any athletic kind of deficiencies that he has. And also he does a good thing. He does a good job of making sure that now he's not an elite 3-point shooter, but at the end of the day, you're going to get a guy who is locked up on defense and is able to shoot threes. And you combine that with the IQ. When you look at guys like Luka Garza was a historically great offensive player. He couldn't guard me. That's why he's not making it in the NBA. Like that, guys are looking for, it's such a certain prototype that NBA people are looking for that if you can't guard, you really can't play that much. Edey is a little bit different to me just because I see guys like, I don't know, you throw Boban out there. Boban's been in the league for God knows how long. It feels like 10 plus years. There's such thing as like a platoon type big that I think can be thrown out there for certain spurts of the game, can find his way in the game. Like Zach Edey isn't Taco Fall. All right. He's a dominant force. He's a back to the basket scorer. He makes his free throws, which has me thinking like low key. I wouldn't be surprised if Edey came out this year and was able to hit like a 15-footer or two. I just think he doesn't do it. And for as big as he is, he moves extremely well. And he's able to protect the basket. So I feel like there's a role for Zach Edey somewhere in the league. He just has to land. It's about also landing in the right spot. A lot of that has so much to do with guys' NBA careers.
He spent this whole summer with Team Canada too. Like he's with like SGA and Jamal Murray and those dudes. So I am optimistic on Edey as well. I have an answer to this question that I think I just came up with on the fly that I think is right. And I want Riley's answer on if I'm right or wrong on this. I think guys like Cassius Winston and Denzel Valentine, and to an extent, Luka Garza, were so effective in their best year in college because they were alphas and they had to play an alpha role in a certain way. Like Cassius has the IQ, in my opinion, that Draymond does offensively. Like, he's genius level offensive guy. I think Denzel's pretty high on that scale as well. Those guys operated with the ball in their hands probably 75% of the possessions they were on the floor in college, and that was their use. Like, Cassius was going to create a look for someone or himself. Denzel, same thing. In the NBA, I feel like they're being asked to play a totally different role, because when Cassius Winston steps on an NBA floor, he's not a first option or even a third or fourth option most times. And that's just a totally different job. It's a totally different task at hand for a basketball player to go from like engine of an offense, everything's built around you and your skill set, to figure out how to fit in because we have Dante DiVincenzo right there and he needs the ball. And that was a bad name to pull out, but like, that's just what like Cassius and Denzel ran into, was like, they weren't even NBA all-stars, but it was guys who were supposed to be getting the ball that weren't them. So you have to make yourself valuable in that context in the NBA. And that usually requires defense. That usually requires like athleticism and physicality. Make yourself useful being a 3-and-D guy at minimum to earn a long NBA role. Cassius, Denzel, and Garza were not able to do that, in my opinion, which is why Cassius and Denzel are now playing overseas.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Greg. I definitely would give credence to that. And I mean, even those two guys in particular takes me back to like, following different draft processes, and both Cassius and Denzel Valentine were two guys I was very in on becoming NBA role players, where it just never happened. I feel like there's part of me that's still holding out hope that Denzel Valentine's going to catch on and be like a valuable playoff rotation piece, but I know that's not happening. But just year after year, it's like, okay, this could be the year where it sort of happens. But I mean, to that extent, speaking of good college basketball players in the Big Ten, there's one guy who sticks out is Io to me, who like was able to fit into that role where he wasn't the alpha, but he's able to, I think he came off the bench for the Bulls this past year and I want to say he made an all rookie team a couple years ago. And even watching that last year he had at Illinois, I remember seeing how easily he'd get to the rim and think like, why is this guy not getting more first round hype? Why is this guy not even looking like a, 15 to 20 range type of guy? I thought maybe I was the crazy one, but it looks like he's been someone who has made that transition to not being the alpha, but has been able to carve out a role and at least be passable on defense.
Yeah. And if you compare it to Draymond too, like, it's very interesting because I think Draymond would be an NBA player no matter where he ended up. But Draymond almost found the only situation where he is a quote unquote role player, but he's also the engine of everything they do. And that's just a credit to the Warriors being so unique and utilizing his skill set that way. I would be really curious. Like, if you threw Draymond Green on the Kings 10 years ago, I still think he's an NBA player for forever, but I think his career looks totally different. So, yeah, a lot of it's situation, and a lot of the points all three of us made, I think, are accurate here. Great question, Ethan. Final question or comment from the Discord. Coy says, for Riley, how would you describe players from Longwood University?
Generally, they have a certain prototype. I covered Longwood for the Big South in the Almanac, by the Almanac. But they have a prototype where they tend to be pretty explosive players, good size. Coy is trying to get me to slip up and make some sort of innuendo, and I'm not going to give into it.
That's why Riley's on.
Brother, there's no way to get out of it when you addressed it. You literally just said, I studied Longwood for the Almanac.
I said covered.
Not much better. Not much better.
Riley covering some explosive Longwood for the Almanac. By the Almanac, everybody. You must get over there. All right, let's get to the YouTube comments. This is the final time we're going to do this. It's a little bittersweet, Cart. We've had so much fun with the YouTube comments. I'm a little nervous and sad right now, but we got 20 of them this morning. Again, we don't mean to discourage anybody from commenting on the YouTube. Still helps us a ton, and I can promise you, Cart and I will still be reading every YouTube comment, just not live on the show. But if you leave a good one, we may use it as a topic on episodes in the future. And if you leave a great one, we might even read it still on the show. Maybe just one every now and then. Ulamog clipped every part yet again. Ulamog, you are the MVP of the comment section. Boneman24 says, thank you, Greg and Card. I love your content. Can't wait to repeat your takes to my friends and pass them off as my own. I'll be joining Discord closer to the college basketball season. Go Illini, Boneman out.
Big fan of him ending that saying Bone Man out.
Same. I saw that yesterday and I'm like, I love a good sign off. Also love it is an elite move to parrot podcast takes as your own. I'm a big proponent of doing that.
Oh, I love stealing ideas.
Who's your go-to pod to pawn off as your own takes, Riley?
When I want to sound smart when it comes to college basketball, like I will repeat 3-man weave takes to all my friends who don't follow it that closely.
Cart?
Interesting, Riley. Very interesting, to say the least. I don't really listen to any college basketball podcasts, to be honest with you. I really don't.
You said you're a fan of stealing ideas. What's the best idea you've ever stolen?
It's the best idea ever stolen. I was very proud. I stole that Nick Saban take yesterday from, I can't remember who it was. I want to say one of the college football analyst guys brought up that Nick Saban thing about him being doubted and don't sleep on Nick Saban. Yeah, 100% stole that.
I didn't realize you stole that. That's impressive stuff. My camera's in hell, by the way, for anybody watching the video yet again. Neil Stuckey's back. He says, for Cart, when it comes to self, the best way I've seen somebody explain how Illinois fans feel about him is he's the hot ex that dumped you and moved on. He put together several good teams at Illinois, and even though Weber was the coach of the team that got to the national championship, Self built that team. So it leaves fans wondering what would have happened if he stayed. Any predictions on if JT gets traded by the Colts? And if so, to who? Riley, I feel like you're the in-house football guy. Let's throw to our in-house football guy.
Yeah, I saw that the Eagles were getting a little buzz to trade for Jonathan Taylor, which for one, I think it would make that offense just ridiculously unstoppable. Jalen Hurts coming into his own in like year 4 at a bell cow back. But at the same time, I don't know if it's worth giving up anything substantial if you're the Eagles, though, because you already have DeAndre Swift, who hasn't really stayed healthy, but like he's still a high upside guy. Maybe Carter has more mixed feelings on him as a former Lion, but I feel like even before this current iteration of the Eagles, they've been able to find these random running backs to be successful, whether it was like Jay Ajayi a couple of years ago, or Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, like these dudes who have just been, I guess Sanders had a little more pedigree, but guys who are picked up the scrap heap who have some big moments. So, but I still think that would be pretty intriguing if they end up with JT.
I'm just sick of the NFL acting like they treat the Eagles like a Make-A-Wish foundation. Like everyone just gives them these trades where they just get nothing in return. I just feel like the Eagles just fleece everybody and the league's just okay with it. And I don't understand why. And by the way, DeAndre Swift will be hurt by week 6. That's just how
that's where I'm like, am I just having too much recency bias to where I see the vision with like you add Jonathan Taylor to that offense and it takes off, but with like how injured he was last year and Greg was winning fantasy leagues with Deion Jackson as his RB2. I think that was the Colts backup. But like, will he make it? I don't know. How much of an upgrade is he truly to a healthy DeAndre Swift?
He is, because DeAndre Swift it's not I'm wishing upon him. It's literally the fact that he cannot stay healthy. He can't. He just doesn't have the body to hold up. He was on limited touches, which annoyed me in Detroit because I thought he was very dynamic with the ball. But when you take a step back and look at it, there was literally a reason why he can't touch the ball that many times, because he would end up hurt.
He also routinely missed like pretty open running lanes. Like that was one of my issues. Like he would bounce outside when there was a very clear downhill hole. We've thrown the words Make-A-Wish out a lot in this episode already. Just want to be very clear. Make-A-Wish Foundation does great work. Okay. We don't mean that in such a negative connotation, but we might have a few more Make-A-Wish references later in the show. Jonas, this is scaring me already because I'm interpreting this as Jonas 18, and I don't want to see any Jonas content right now. Said just found the show via folks at Brags in the Stands. Really enjoy the content, so wanted to get a comment in before the Discord exodus. Which Big Ten team has the best walk-on roster? First of all, Jonas, thank you for being here, and shout out Brags in the Stands, one of our favorite Big Ten shows. They do great work over there. We love those guys. Cart, which Big Ten team has the best walk-on roster?
It's not Michigan State. It's not Michigan. Best walk-on roster. I want to say I want to say Purdue. I want to say it's Purdue only because, and this is literally the only reason, I remember when we went to Mackey and I was watching warmups, and I don't know the kid's name, but there was some walk-on that was showing out in warmups, and that's the only thing I got to go off of it. To be honest with you, I'm not well plugged in or had the know-all on walk-ons in the Big Ten. I'll be straight up with you, but I did see that at Mackey, so go ahead. I'll give my money to Purdue. Also, Illinois guys, I think too. So I saw Illinois walk-ons out there shooting with the managers, and they look pretty good.
Wasn't Brian Waddell a walk-on?
I don't think he is, but I was going to give them the nod because he was a walk-on, but I don't think he is.
Yeah, I think I'm misremembering that now. I always thought he was a walk-on, but apparently not a walk-on. Interesting. Yeah, I think Michigan State would have had an argument for this last year when they had the football players as quote unquote walk-ons, right? Did that count as a walk-on? Like, because Keon Coleman could hoop.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. But now it's just Steven Izzo.
Yeah. Last year, I think my answer was Michigan State. This year, not so sure. We need to get more in touch with the walk-ons in the Big Ten, Jonas. We'll work on that. User, then a bunch of numbers, says, Greg, how was the Joe Bros concert? I'm going in November with my wife when they come to GR, and I could use the early Christmas present as an excuse. But the truth is, I'm excited to go and was the one who signed up for the pre-sale #boyband_stan. That's how I felt yesterday, as you heard. I hope you have a better experience than I did. Don't look up their height before the show. Marco, bunch of numbers, says, who is your favorite non-Edey player on Purdue this year, and how will they contribute this season?
I think my non-favorite is Braden Smith. I think Braden's going to have a really good year, and he's going to fill up the stat sheet. He's going to put some of the things to rest, too. I feel like the I can't handle a press narrative, I think, is going to, unfortunately, make its way and move on this year. I think Braden Smith is who I think is going to be the most successful, maybe the most exciting, though. Probably Colvin, just because of his athleticism. But strictly from a who's going to be like really good standpoint, I'm going Braden.
Riley, any answer here?
Yeah, Brian Waddell, just because anytime he's in the game, it's going to yield a lot of fun tweets for us.
This is very true. I'm going TKR. I'm still screaming into the depths of existence that TKR is awesome. And I think he should be treated as if he's like a breakout star, even if he doesn't have the role opportunity for that. But Braden Smith is the correct answer as far as production goes. Cart, can I throw a quick negative Purdue take out of nowhere?
You don't have to ask that, throw out a negative Purdue take.
I feel like you have been hunting for this for a while from me, and I just haven't had any negativity to throw. But I have some negativity today to throw at Purdue. I want to make a prediction that is negative for Purdue. I think that Fletcher Lawyer is going to be a sophomore slump guy this year, and maybe take a step backwards, while Braden Smith and a lot of other guys take a step forward.
Will that be astronomically detrimental to Purdue?
I don't think so. I think it would have been a month ago when I was like on paper listing this out and comparing Fletcher Lawyer to Kyle Kai. But the more I think about it, the more I think there's too many dudes on Purdue that can play the 2 through 4 wing spots. Like Waddell did emerge and looked really good this summer. Colvin needs to play. I think Colvin needs to play some at the 2 to make room for other guys. And if Fletch isn't making shots at a 40% rate, I don't know what he does for this team that the other guys don't. Like, he's not as good of an athlete or a defender as any of these other guys. And he doesn't need to facilitate because Braden Smith is so good at that. So I think it all comes down to how well does Fletch shoot the ball this year. And I'm still a little skeptical on Fletcher as a shooter based on what we saw this summer. And not to play the mentals game, but I'm a body language PhD guy. I think Fletcher is a guy who could have confidence stuff based on what I saw last year and based on what the Lawyer family history is. I think more competition in that room is a bad thing for Fletcher Lawyer.
I actually see that where that could happen, especially if Colvin comes on, and then how fan bases get. Let's say they turn on Lawyer too. He's definitely the type of player that I feel like if he gets turned on, it's not like something that's going to affect him way more negatively than people think.
In a hypothetical world where Fletcher Lawyer starts the season like 1 for 15 from 3, things would get loud and antsy very quickly. Hopefully it doesn't happen because I do like Fletch, but that's a official first negative prediction I have for Purdue this year. Kevin Deaton says, well, you guys know by now I'm a Kentucky fan, so I love the Tennessee shots. I have to say they don't have much history, but under Barnes, they turned into a kind of cute regular season program. Riley, do you think that's an accurate way to characterize Tennessee? Kind of cute?
Okay, I saw that comment and immediately started laughing because it's so true. And this is someone, I lived in Knoxville for 4 years, so I got love for the Vols, went to a decent amount of UT basketball games, and really up until my last year there, which I want to say was like the last year of the Jeremy Pruitt football era, when like everybody was down bad and they kind of saw the writing on the wall. The arena was always pretty empty, even when they'd be playing like top 25 SEC teams. Like there was one game where they played LSU, who was like ranked 20 or 20th or something, like in the Will Wade era. And the student section was like 60% full. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield are on this team and we can't pack out an arena. So yes, I think until UT fans can fully act like basketball fans, they will be a cute regular season team.
I have a question for all of us quickly. Who is the most kind of cute college basketball program?
Oh, this is a great question.
I have two that came to mind for me quickly, but I want your guys' answer first.
What are your guys' like grading scale for kind of cute college basketball teams?
So my main thing as far as defining what kind of cute means would be they can't have real success. Because I think that disqualifies you from kind of cute because you become serious. You become sexy when you have real success.
Oh, this is easy. Any team that Shaka Smart coaches.
That's a good one.
Literally. Any team that he coaches. Kind of cute, sweet, Shaka, great. Remember VCU? Yeah, we do. Lose.
That's not bad, Riley.
I'm going to go with post-transfer portal Virginia. Because it would be kind of odd to just throw them in there when they've won a title within the last 5 years. But, without Tony Bennett being able to develop guys for 4 or 5 years, like I think there's a really good chance that Virginia is just going to be a cute regular season team where it's like, oh, there they go. Their fans are cheering when they hold opponents to shot clock violations. How cute is that? They can't score. They don't have anybody who shoots. They're bringing in a St. Thomas transfer who's kind of nice. Like that's their biggest get from the offseason. So I'm going post transfer portal Virginia.
I like that answer too. Okay, I have two. One is Houston. That's going to hurt Cart, I think. But I think Houston in general has just been kind of cute. Like they're fun to look at. Always entertaining, always good. But like, have they done anything, Cart? Really?
You're
like,
lucky I can't be hurt any further. You're lucky I can't be hurt any further today.
I just think they're kind of cute. And then two, let's be honest, like the most cute program right now in the world is Illinois. They're super cute. Like everything they do is cute. That kind of is it. At the end of the year, it's like, oh, it's kind of cute.
Oh, look at how cute DGL is locking up their NBA pick, Ty Rodgers.
We got to move on before we get ourselves in trouble here. Dat Boy from Illinois says, I'm planning to join the Discord once basketball starts, just not a big football guy. I promise I'll be coming in hot and maybe the first user banned from the Sleeper Discord. Until then, thanks for being real ones and keeping us entertained in the dog days. Thank you, Dat Boy from Illinois. We appreciate you. Who will be the first user banned from the Discord, Cart? That is like a nice
on Tristan.
I like that call out for sure. Tristan is chaotic evil right now. That's the mode he's been in the last couple
Skinny Tristan is a menace.
He really is. He's only going to be able to hold out for so long before sharing those salad picks on the Discord. That's going to get him booted.
This is true. Aaron Eckert says, you guessed it, another Illinois fan that follows you religiously. Love the daily content and your friendly back and forth first time commenting here. You both seem like master trash talkers. What's your best trash talking moment / story?
Because I am a master trash talker, I have literally so many to choose from. But the one that I'll go with that I always think is funny is my junior year of college. There was a guy who played at Trine University, and he was a dog. Like, he was blitzing through the league, like going crazy, going dumb in the league. And he talks ungodly levels of shit, okay? So we play him, and I have him in Alcatraz. Like, I literally am just I'm letting him, and I think it's Alcaraz too, by the way. Anyway, who cares? I got him in hell, okay? And I'm looking into the stands, and this game is a D3 basketball game midweek over winter break, aka there's no one in the stands. But I see my dad in the stands, and I get like 4 straight stops, and my dad stands up and starts pointing to me. And I'm literally screaming at midcourt, talking about, I'm telling you, Dad, this dude is not that. Like with my thumb behind me, like this dude is not what they say. And my dad's in the stands about, yeah. That was probably my favorite trash talking story that comes to mind right now.
Yeah, that's a great one. You have plenty of material to pull from, I think. I don't think I'm nearly the trash talker that you are. I definitely like am.
You're not a trash talker, you're just mean.
You think so?
Yeah, like you hit a 3 and you'd be like, I hate you, your family sucks.
That's not true at all. I think the most trash talk I do is to people I'm like comfortable. Like what if I hoop against Cart, like I am trying to mental midget him the whole time. But like I only do that with people I actually know, like I love and will end up like being friends with and can tolerate that from me. I think this isn't trash talk, but in my tennis days in high school, I was just like a good doubles player. I think we've talked about that on the show before. And we had one match against a school that we just knew, like we'd played them before. We knew we didn't have to try at all to beat them. So we were cocky enough to go into this. We wanted to mess with our coach because our coach is a great coach, but like we liked messing with him in various ways. So my doubles partner and I, who had won a couple championships by this point, intentionally through the first set, like just like made ridiculous unforced errors, like firing the ball out of bounds, missing wide open shots, and like actively pretended that we were in a huge fight with each other. And like, hey, like our coach would come talk to us in between games and we would just be like, no, I can't fucking look at this guy, and like dramatically pretend we hated each other. And then like after the end of the first set, the coach was just like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like we lost like 6-0 the first set to some bums. And then we told them, like, we just like came clean and started laughing. We're like, we're just messing with you. Like, we're going to win the next 2 sets. And then we 6-0 them the second and third sets. So,
oh, Lord.
Yeah. That's not trash talk, but that's like the cockiest thing I think I've done in a sporting event. Riley, do you have any trash talk or cocky moments?
I wasn't much of a trash talker. I know I mentioned this on a pod before, but thinking on my feet is still not my best trait and definitely was not in high school. But I did make a kid cry in a tennis match once in middle school. That's like one of my better stories. We were in a tiebreaker that kept extending and extending. I want to say I won the tiebreaker like 11-9, and I was just trying to get out of there. My friends and I went to go see Disturbia, the Shia LaBeouf movie that night. And I'm like,
you're never beating those allegations, man. I mean, you really are not ever going to beat them.
Okay, Disturbia was a great movie. Shout out Shia LaBeouf, man. Give that man his flowers.
Okay, stop digging. Stop digging. Go back to the story.
Nah, so we were playing tennis, and I'm just trying to get out of there. Like, oh my gosh, why can't I not finish this guy off? Finally, I do. Kid cries. Best friend congratulated me and said, congrats, it's the first time you've ever made anybody cry. And I think that might have been the last time I made anybody cry, but
that's crazy. I make somebody cry at least once a month.
Oh boy, I love this show. I love these two people. Thank you for the question, Aaron, and great to see you in here. That was your first comment, I believe. Hope you stick around for more, my friends. Good to see you. Clayton Lee says, LOL, I love the pro dog rant Cart made. That was a good rant, Cart.
Love your dog.
Love him. DMCQSF says Dante Scott belongs on that tier list. I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I think if Tyler Wall and Malik Hall can be in that one, what is it, serviceable two-way players? Is that what it was? Serviceable two-way Big Ten wings or something like that? I think Dante Scott can make his way into that category.
I think Dante Scott's better than those two guys also, but
not the way he's been progressing over the last. He's done nothing but get worse every single year.
Sounds like Malik Hall and Tyler Wall.
But Dante Scott's got, well, first of all, Tyler Wall has not gotten worse every single year. And Dante Scott's gotten worse without the injury excuse. He's just played a lot, 30 minutes, and gotten worse every year.
Okay. Yeah, I think they belong in the same tier. That's a good call out. JHD14 says, any theories as to who Trilly Donovan is? Either one of you want to jump in on a theory on this one?
I'm over this speculation, man. I'm glad he gives us fun scoops, but who cares?
Nothing, Cart?
No.
Why is this such a weird reaction from you? I'm starting to think you have something to do with this.
No, just no.
Okay. Got it.
No.
I think I'm more in on the whole Trilly thing than you guys are, apparently, at this point. I still enjoy it.
I'm in on Trilly. I'm just not in on knowing who it is. I don't think it's going to make a difference to me. I'm just letting him just be what he is.
Yeah, I do. I think one of the more annoying things in college basketball right now is when like prominent media members make a big deal about who Trilly is. It just feels like one of them is in on the joke and is gassing up for no reason. But my theory is, I think the presumed theory that he's just like on a staff somewhere, or he's either a coach or a former coach, not a media member. So keep doing your thing, Trilly. We're a pro Trilly podcast here. Biz80 says the 300 level podcast has 3 sponsors minimum. How do y'all not have any? What's the 300 level podcast?
I'm not sure. I think maybe do they mean 200 level, like 200 columns?
Oh, maybe.
Okay. Well, we also don't have a felony record.
Oh my God. Why? 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 I do not endorse that, but why? Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. We need a sales department or something. We're trying to work, stay low and build, but we haven't done the best job of that. We can work on that. Jeff Parks says Carter's spot on, in my opinion, on the mic. It's not mic quality, it's an acoustic issue.
There's a lot of issues with me we got to figure out.
Bob says you missed the hot spot at West Lafayette. Next time you need to cross the Wabash and hit downtown Lafayette. Don't miss the Knickerbocker. As this comment goes on and on, I'm less interested.
Cross the Wabash over yonder to the Knickerbocker for a fresh cold butter beer.
Let's be real. Knickerbocker sounds like a place I'd be going to, not y'all.
Here's the thing. It shouldn't be difficult. Like, you shouldn't have to go around and about to get a cold beverage. And it's like, it's not. If you go to Purdue in Mackey, there's like a drink stand every 5 feet. But why? If I show up 3 hours early looking for like a restaurant and nothing's open and they say there's only one within 10 blocks, that's a problem. And that's on the city and the community. Like, the fans haven't raised enough of a stink on that yet. So we're doing the work for you, Purdue. We literally, this is true. I'm going to name drop and be a douche about it, but it's true. At the Final Four, we literally cornered Robbie Hummel and pitched him that he needs to open a bar. And I think he's interested. So we're working on it. Okay. And most importantly, Robbie Hummel knew who we were. That was the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
Easily.
By far. Okay. Moving on. Tanner Hessling. I'd rather have it storm every day than go through this heat wave in the Midwest. 109 today. SOS. Yeah.
Yeah. Heat waves aren't the wave.
No. Also, please don't comment SOS. That makes me think of the Jonas Brothers, who are 5'6". Steve Dunn says, F it Friday. Who do you love to hear call a game on TV? Who do you absolutely hate to hear call a game? Can you confirm Bill Walton will not be broadcasting any of the holiday tournament games MSU will be playing in? Who do you love to hear call a game, Riley?
Love Hummel. Speaking of him, he's great. Are we going to talk about like the classics? Like, of course, everybody loves Gus Johnson. Ian Eagles, awesome. Kevin Harlan. But from the more ACC guys, there's a Randolph Childress. Anytime he's on the call, I feel like he always shares good insight. But the only problem is he tends to be in the booth a lot with Corey Alexander, who I can't stand.
Yeah, I'm generic. I mean, obviously, I love Gus Johnson, love Hummel. Hate Dan Dockich. Glad he's not on the calls anymore. I literally used to mute my TVs whenever he was announcing.
He was so bad, man.
He'd
make his way on some ACC games. Hated it.
Yeah, Dan Dockich is the only announcer that like ruined games for me. Like, I never actually had that much of an issue with Bill Walton. I just kind of let him ramble. there's not really an announcer for me that's just like, God, I can't stand this. I can't listen to this game. It used to be Dockage, but now he's no longer on the air.
I I definitely am anti-Walton, anti-Dockage. My thing, I think, is I don't want the announcers to become the story of the game to me. Like, if I'm watching the game, I want the game, and I want like quiet background commentary that maybe enhances it, maybe doesn't. Just don't become like the distraction of the game to me. Walton and Dockage, everything's about themselves. Their whole intention is to become the show, and that really bothers me. Hummel's great. He's probably my favorite. I like Jason Benetti too, just to throw another random name out there. But beyond that, I'm really not overly picky if you just don't scream and say nonsensical things for the sake of screaming and saying nonsensical things. Berserker says, another great show. I do have one nitpick with the commenters, though. All this talk about sports other than college basketball is kind of annoying. Commenters need to do a better job staying on topic for me. I need college basketball all the time. Cart, this could be problematic because I think we're going to start talking some football in the coming weeks on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if we had like some type of service where we have different conversations separated by sports. I think we'll work on getting to that point. But there's got to be some type of, I don't know, like community that's separated by sports and topics that keeps things, away from each other. There's got to be something like that out there.
A place where you could, I don't know, have constant conversation anytime you want with us interacting and with 30 other people minimum on a daily basis. Yeah, it'd be nice. Join the Discord. By the way, we had Tristan on the show who is in the Discord, and we asked Tristan to either like shit on the Discord or praise it, and he gave us a pitch. Riley's not in the Discord, so we're going to put Riley on the spot. Riley, tell people why they should not join the Discord.
Well, for me, I can talk to y'all whenever I want to. I don't need to pay money to do that. we can
For
talk
now,
sports.
Till we cut you off.
I'll join eventually. I'll get on that.
It's a very true point. Okay. Final comment of the YouTube comments ever. Drum roll, please. Austin Gooden, 1658, says Jacksonville State money line is a week 0 lock. Thank me later. That's such a perfect comment to go out on, Cart.
I wouldn't want to go out on any other comment.
No, that was fantastic. Round of applause for everybody in the comments over the last 2 months. You've made this significantly more fun. We appreciate you. Don't stop commenting. Even if you're not in the Discord, feel free to continue doing what you're doing, and look at it this way. You can now shit on us and we won't fire back at you. That's a pro. That's a big time benefit move for you. If you do want your comments read every single day, the same way we've been doing it, join the Discord. You can do that. We will read every single comment from the Discord every single day on this show. And we'll see where this goes. We may pick out one every now and then from the YouTube to still come through, but great job. We appreciate you. Let's get to Riley's topics today. He's brought 3 of them, as he does every single Riley Friday. And I said it at the top of the show, I'm nervous. Riley's been gassing up. Like, one of these is about college basketball. The other 2 aren't. I'm scared. Where are we going, Riley?
Yeah, apologies to Berserker, but we're definitely not sticking to the script today. So join that Discord. But first one I'll kick us off with is the college hoops related one, and it's about Big Ten breakouts. So I want to hear who y'all think are the biggest shots to emerge this season, become big time contributors for their respective teams. And I have a couple parameters, and it's this: you can't pick any freshmen. Seems probably pretty obvious. And they also had to average less than 10 points per game last season. So if you need to look anything up and make sure, feel free to do that. But I want to hear your breakouts. I wrote the top 25 breakouts for the Almanac, which is why I've been thinking about this in particular. But yeah, I'll pass it to y'all.
Can you tell us how many guys from the top 25 were Big Ten on your list for the Almanac?
As of right now, 3, but I might add a 4th.
Okay.
I think Greg should go because he has a lot of breakout candidates on his team.
So my initial thought was the guy I've been gassing up all offseason, but I just looked it up and he averaged more than 10 points a game. It was Bruce Thornton. He averaged 10.6 points a game, which I'm shocked he eclipsed 10 points. He must have had a great final 2 weeks of the season to get there. It's homery if I start with Michigan, but the only one I'm really confident, I think Doug McDaniel's a lock to really up his production this year. And I am buying Doug. I think I've downplayed Michigan in a pretty significant way because I'm an honest fan And there's not a lot to love as far as this team being super competitive and competing for championships, which should be Michigan's goal. That's not the goal this year. They have no realistic world where they're going to be a championship level team in the Big Ten. But that doesn't mean there's not stuff to like. And Doug is the biggest reason for me. Even among the Kamwa and Terrace Reed hype that's come and gone a little bit, I think Doug is the highest ceiling guy on this team. He averaged 9, 3, and 3 last year. Everybody remembers what happened. He was thrown into the fire, essentially. For the first 2 weeks of the season, he looked like a really erratic backup point guard. And that's kind of the love and hate give and take game of Doug McDaniel as a player. Like, he is a boom or bust, swing for the fences guy. When it works, he's electric and really fun and highlight plays. When it doesn't work, he looks like a train going off the tracks. And when he was a backup point guard, that was difficult because he only played like 8 minutes a game behind Llewellyn for the first 2 weeks. And all you wanted from those 8 minutes from him was like, don't drive off the tracks. Like, just don't turn the ball over erratically. And he couldn't do it. He was kind of crazy. So when Llewellyn went down, it was like, this team's so screwed. He's going to just drive this season totally into the dirt. And it didn't really happen. And I think he deserves more credit for that. Like, yeah, the season was horrible, but it wasn't Doug's fault. Like, it wasn't like, oh, Doug McDaniel's the reason this team stinks. It was more that they didn't have a power forward and that Jet Howard didn't guard anybody ever. So I'm optimistic. I think Doug made really good strides. Like, the second half of the season, he was a totally different player. I reference it a lot because it's fun to poke fun at Carter, but I thought he was the best guard in a game against Michigan State's guards. As a true freshman, that means a lot to me. I think there's a world where
the second game when he drank water, right?
The second game where he was hydrated, correct. Obviously, it's very important when you are the size of a Jonas brother. You need to drink water. And Doug, to me, could score 15 points a game this year. I think his scoring upside is that for real if Michigan wants them to. So I'll stop there. I think it's lame I went with one of my favorite team's players, but that's the first name that I knew was under 10 points a game that comes to mind.
Okay. I'm going to go with the first player that came to my mind that I feel good about breaking out, and that's Derek Simpson from Rutgers. I think that he has the ability to be that, let's say safely 12 to 15 a game scorer in the Big Ten. I think he has that type of ability. I think he was hindered more than I thought by playing next to Mulcahy and McConnell. I thought that it would more so help him, at least playing next to Mulcahy. But I think he's ready for a bigger role. I like the way that Rutgers team fits this year. So I think fit also helps in the guys breaking out. Like, if guys can come into a situation where they are in a good situation with who are around them, I think it'll help enhance their game. So, oh shit, I almost knocked over my desk. But yeah, I think Derek Simpson has a really good chance to have a breakout year. He averaged like 7 last year, but had some really good games towards the end of the season. And also, me and Greg saw firsthand at the Big Ten tournament, he's a guy who can score the ball.
For sure. Riley, do you have a name here?
Yeah, well, I want to say I love the Simpson pick. I actually forgot about him. He's on my list of 25, so I have 4 and I might add a 5th. But yeah, I think he's really dynamic on the ball. That's kind of the hope for Rutgers, in my opinion, that he really can emerge as that second option next to Morier if they want to get to the tournament. But for me, in some ways, it might seem a little obvious because it's a former top 10 prospect, but I'm going with Kalel Ware as my top choice. He's highest in my personal rankings. And I feel like there have been some detractors on Ware this offseason who have maybe like tried to slow the hype a little bit because he was pretty disappointing down the stretch down the stretch at Oregon. And I know there were concerns about his motor, but even looking at his flashes, man, like, he's not just some rim runner prototype who's only going to make an impact if he's catching lobs and blocking shots. Like, he has legitimate post moves. And I know that's not exactly modern basketball. And we've talked some about the death of the Big Ten center, but I think that can still be really valuable in the league. And, say what you want about Mike Woodson. I know he probably still has some things to prove. I would guess IU fans feel the same. And I know he's been the subject of naps and things of that nature on this show before. But the man knows how to feature a post player. I think he knows how to get the best out of bigs. And even looking at some of the strides that TJD made defensively over the last 2 years, I think that bodes really well for Ware to be a difference maker on that end. And in my opinion, the only thing that can slow him down is if they try to shoehorn a fit with Malik Reneau and that doesn't work out for some reason, or if they're really trying to go Mbako, Reneau, and Ware with their 3, 4, and 5, that could get a little clunky. But if they do a little if they let Renew maybe get a few minutes next to Ware and then come in when he's off the bench, I think that could work really well for his long-term potential.
I like that. I agree. Can we get the other 3 names on your list?
Yeah, first I want to talk about Roddy Gale too, because I think Roddy Gale is going to be a problem this year. That man is dumb athletic. I think, again, if you look at his build and even his stats, you might just think he's going to be a shooter. But I don't know if y'all saw this highlight. It's literally the first thing that pops up if you search Roddy Gale on Twitter. But the man threw down like a double cluch dunk on Iowa last year.
Baseline dunk.
Yes, it was disgusting.
Yeah,
and even his high school tapes are full of they're full of windmill dunks and stuff. So like I'm really high on Roddy Gale, and even again, I know Ohio State has gotten a lot of positive buzz from y'all, and I'm in on that too. But I think that bodes really well for Tyson Chapman and Scotty Middleton too. That like Chris Holtman just finds these 4-star kids and they end up becoming pros. So, and then the next 2 were Terrace Reed. And I mentioned Derek Simpson. I might swap out Terrace Reed for Doug. I know, Greg, initially you told me you like Terrace as a better breakout, but maybe you've changed a little bit. But I think, definitely see how Doug has a better chance to put up numbers. And then I might throw Dane Danger on there just because I didn't realize he was under 10 points per game last year. He was at 9.5.
So I was going to save this for the end of this, but I'm glad you brought up Danger in Illinois. I have a different Illinois name that I'm going to call a breakout candidate, and you guys might laugh me off of the show. I'm putting Coleman Hawkins on this list. He was
on it last year, man. He's done. I'm done with Coleman.
He scored 9.9 points a game last year. And I think I'm carrying the Coleman flag right now. When I did my Big Ten top 25 players list, I had Coleman, I think, 7th in the conference. And a bunch of people were like, that's absurd. Look, there's not many guys in the country, let alone in the Big Ten, that can put up a triple-double in a game. Coleman can do that. He just has never done it consistently. And I don't know if he will or not, but again, last year's team, it's about role stuff. Last year's team, he played a big role, but that team wanted Matthew Meyer to shoot 20 shots a game. That team wanted Terrence Shannon to be the point guard and go downhill most of the game after they realized point guard was a disaster. So like this year's team, as much as we talk about the role guys for Illinois and how deep they are, this year's team's going to need Coleman to kind of be an alpha. And I think that's the first time in his career that's going to happen. And there's going to be some really messy moments with that. But like, it's not like Ty Rodgers or Sincere Harris are going to score 12 points a game this year. Somebody has to score for Illinois. And I think Coleman, with a scoring mentality, can take a really large leap because the talent's always been there. It's just been like the question on why is he shooting from half court with 20 seconds on the shot clock, and just why can't he do this every game? So, Car, you're a Coleman guy. Is that crazy to include Coleman Hawkins on this list?
I don't think so at all, because I think the ability is there, and whether I think you see the duality of where people are at on Coleman Hawkins. They think like Riley, not saying he's like out on him, but he's like, okay, Coleman's been there for so long, and people have been waiting for the breakout. It hasn't happened. I'm more so leaning towards the side of, we've been waiting for the breakout so long that I would bet on him not ending his career, not breaking out, not being the guy where like, oh, he was the folklore. We thought he was going to break out eventually. I think this year he has the chance to finally put it together and actually have his breakout season. So I don't know. He has a lot of ability. I don't think you can deny that.
I don't think we talked Riley into putting Coleman on his list, but we tried.
No, like I want to say, when I said I'm done with Coleman, I don't mean I'm out on him by any stretch. He's actually someone I've been a fan since I watched his tape at Prolific Prep. I was crunching the high school film, but I just think he's been predicted as a breakout star like the last 2 seasons, and he was a top 10. He was top 10 on my list last year, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not going down that road again. I think it's more realistic that that's just kind of who he is he'll get you his 8 to 9 points. He'll get you 5-6 rebounds, and he'll throw in a couple assists, and he'll make some smart plays. But I don't see it, especially with like Terrence Shannon being back, and I think the more realistic option is Terrence Shannon's probably taking 15 shots a game, and maybe you see more opportunities for Luke Goody, or maybe that goes to Danger. But even with Danger, if I throw him on the list, he might be low 20s just because he's getting a little up there in age too. And I know this has been a topic on y'all show before, but Illinois might not want him to get Kofi Coburn type usage, which I somewhat understand, although like the flashes of Danger, I think, are real, man. I think like he seems like he's able to take his man to the post, fake like he's going right, turn the other direction, hit a little reverse layup at will. And at least in high school, he kind of had a bag. I don't know if he's displayed it a ton at Illinois, but he has a decent handle for a big.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I agree. I have one more name to throw at you guys, and this one, I don't know. Maybe he's too good to be considered a breakout candidate, but
Ty Rogers.
No, not Ty Rogers. There were 5 all freshman team members, obviously 5 guys. 3 of them are in the NBA now from last year: Hood Schifino, Jett Howard, Bryce Sensabaugh. The other 2 are back. One of them's Connor Essegian. He scored 12 points a game. He doesn't qualify. The other one does qualify. Cart. It's Purdue's point guard, Braden Smith, 9.7 points per game, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. I'm just going to flat out say, I don't know if we can consider him breakout or not, because he was really good and he was a starter already last year. With that said, I think Braden Smith's going to be a monster stat guy this year. Like, I think first team All Big Ten is in the cards. I think like 13, 6, and 6 is kind of my baseline for what I'm expecting from him. He's another guy. I mentioned the Coleman. He's another triple-double threat every time he steps on the floor. And from what I saw from their overseas trip, yes, they were playing like Carter's men's league opponents, but he was like ball on a string, the driver of everything in a way he wasn't last year. And I'm really buying it.
I love that pick, and I might actually give him a spot. Someone like getting kicked off.
Small question before we move on to the next topic. Are you guys round up people? Like, if someone averages 9.5, I consider them a 10-point a game scorer.
No, I'm not.
I'm a round down because Riley Kugel, terrible name, great player, is number 2 on my list, and he averaged 9.9 points per game last year.
Gotcha. Okay.
Card, I'm a big make the numbers work for whatever you're arguing guy.
That's true. I guess that's what I do too.
Yeah. You can cut up numbers however you want. That's the number one skill set I have. Riley, let's move on.
As long as they fit your agenda.
What else do we have today, Riley?
All right. For topic number 2, like I said, we're veering away from the college basketball landscape, and it's week 0 storylines for college football. Gee Wizzy, I know you are the field of 12 connoisseur, the parlay king when it comes to college football season. What are you looking forward to for week 0? Is there anything that's catching your eye?
Yeah, I think Cart and I are going to be on the same spot here. But the most exciting thing is the first game of the entire season. It's Notre Dame, and it's what is their quarterback going to look like? I love Sam Hartman on paper. I asked Carter this question yesterday on the show. Are we sure Sam Hartman is good and not just handsome? I'm not positive we know that yet. He might be good and handsome. He's definitely handsome, but I can't tell. Like, he's a 24-year-old guy who Carter and I have probably bet on more than any player in the country. I think we bet Wake Forest every single game the last 2 years, and it wasn't our most profitable endeavor. And I don't know if I blame Wake Forest for that or if Hartman played a hand in it, but I'm really excited because I do think he has the arm talent to just be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And Notre Dame's a great fit. They needed a guy like that. He's buying everybody Beats headphones. So Navy, as Cart alluded to in our newsletter, has a new coach. They're supposedly going to play a whole different style of football this year than the typical way you would see military football played. So I think we could see some up and down action here, which opens the door for Sam Hartman to explode onto the scene and maybe have like a 3-4 touchdown day. And I will be both betting that and enjoying watching that because I'm in on Hartman, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think I definitely align with that game. The one that I'm excited about, and I know that I'm going to bet, is Hawaii money line. I'm betting Hawaii money line. I'm definitely getting on Hawaii plus 17. Look, obviously everyone knows the devastation that happened in Hawaii. They need something good. They need some positive energy. This is a great chance for these kids to like get away from Hawaii too, because I think it'd be too emotional if they were playing at the university. So they're away from home. They have a chance to give their fans and people back at home something to get excited about. And it's Vanderbilt, dude. Like, Vanderbilt has won 4 games the last 4 years. Like, let's not act like there's some powerhouse just because they got the SEC attached to their name. They're not like that. So I'm very excited to just even outside of betting, I just want to pull for Hawaii. Like, how great of a story would that be that after the devastation they had, obviously back home, they're able to come out, go to an SEC school on the road after I just said that they should be considered one, and get a win. Like, that's just a great storyline, and I'm a sucker for a good storyline.
Love that pick, Cart. And I think even to your point on week 0, where there's not a ton of games, there are some intriguing matchups for sure, but not a ton of games means that, Hawaii would get that positive buzz and would kind of get some national eyeballs, which would be awesome for that program. However, I'm more aligned with Greg for what I'm looking forward to. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with exactly what I was going to say about Sam Hartman. I mean, I watched this dude for the last 4 or 5 years at Wake Forest, and there are times where he looked incredible. He's got a really good arm and pretty mobile, can make stuff happen with his feet. But up until this past season, he had never cracked a 60% completion rate through, I think, 26 interceptions combined the last 2 seasons. And there were times where they were really inopportune turnovers as well. And you mentioned, Greg, I know you said, is it more his fault, or is it more on Wake Forest that you probably lost money on them over the years? I think Wake Forest is really well coached. Like, I think Dave Clawson is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. It's a school that maybe it's changed this year, but I know they have no NIL, which you would think they need to get on that. I mean, it is a private school, shout out private schools, but small alumni base. It's like a 3,000 student university, and they're able to just get guys to buy in and take a redshirt year and develop. And that's where I'm wondering, like, is there a chance that it's more a reflection on Dave Clawson, who's made Sam Hartman look good, as opposed to the other way around? That I think Hartman has potential to be awesome at Notre Dame, and I think they've really lacked a quarterback the last couple of years, really since Ian Book, and I think Hartman has higher potential than him. But yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a lock that he's going to be awesome and be able to get them to like the college football playoff or anything.
Yeah. This is kind of like a Marcus Freeman, like, what do we got year too?
Mhm.
Like, I don't think there's many excuses that can be made if Notre Dame is bad this year. Whereas last year it's like, okay, we got to give him some time. This year it's like, okay, he has some dogs now. So let's see what he's got. Can I go deep cut real quick? I have a week 0 deep cut that I spoke to briefly in the newsletter card. So maybe you've heard some of this, but Ohio is on the road against San Diego State. Okay, this is a MAC team that was good last year. They won 10 games, but they are on the road against San Diego State, who has historically been a pretty damn good football program. And Curtis Rourke was the MAC Player of the Year. He's Ohio's quarterback. He's back. He tore his ACL in November. Quarterback with a torn ACL making his return, first game, on the road against the San Diego State team, who brings their quarterback back, dual threat guy, Jalen Maiden, led the Mountain West in rushing yards per game last year. Ohio defense, horrible last season, gave up 561 yards per game for the entire first half of their season. And their offense only scored 10 points in their 2 biggest non-conference games last year, even with Rourke. I don't understand why this is a pick 'em at all. I think San Diego State should be favored by like 7 in this spot. For all the reasons I just said, I think it's the best value on the board. So I'm into that game. I like finding value on like teams I normally wouldn't care about in week 0. San Diego State is my play of the week.
I'm aligned.
Sorry to backtrack. I was kind of distracted thinking of this question, but is there any sort of slanderous nickname that Big Ten folks give to people who are IU basketball fans and Notre Dame football fans? Because I'm sure they exist. They have to exist.
There should be. I don't think there is that we know about, at least.
Yeah, not that. If someone does, please let us know, because we like to incorporate it.
Yeah. Comment section, help us out. One last week 0 storyline I wanted to pitch to y'all. Do you know anything about this USC receiving core? Because I think Caleb Williams is going to be good no matter what. I think Lincoln Riley could put me at the slot receiver, and I'm going to get him a good 3 to 4 receptions, and it might be for 10 yards, but I'll get him a little bit of production. But I'm curious to see what this USC offense looks like without Jordan Addison, and wanted to know if y'all had any thoughts on that. We'll get to see them this weekend too.
I mean, I like Mario Williams. I think that, honestly, one of the biggest mistakes that Lincoln made this offseason is every great team who has a great quarterback, or at least a great team that wins the college football playoff, they got some sneaky athletic white slot receiver, and USC doesn't have that. Like, the Georgia had, what's his name, McCourty. Like, you got to have that slot white do-it-all receiver. USC doesn't have that, and that will hurt them. But they do got talent on the outside. I like Mario Williams a lot. And obviously, I think Lincoln could throw to Amazon workers, or Lincoln could work with Amazon workers at wide receiver. and he'd still make it work with Caleb Williams at quarterback. So I'm not too worried about it. I am currently holding a USC to make the college football playoff ticket with boost enabled at plus 425, and I feel good about it.
Yeah, my only 2 cents here would be off names alone. This is one of the best wide receiver groups in the country.
I'm with you on that.
Kyron Ware Hudson, Deuce Robinson, Mario Williams, Taj Washington, Dorian Singer, Mekhi Lemon. Yeah, they're fine.
You buried the lead and left out Michael Jackson. They have a Michael Jackson in their receiver room.
Incredible. For the record, Michael Jackson not listed on their depth chart, though.
Oh, really? Maybe I misread that. Maybe could be a preparation error on my end. But I'm in on Dorian Singer. Watched some of his highlights this morning. Dude averaged like 17 yards per catch last year at Arizona. Deep threat. I think, 1,000-yard receiver. Maybe it's not that hot of a take, but I'm pretty sure Lincoln Riley's going to be able to maximize that. So we'll move on to our final topic of the day. And I texted y'all last night to give you a heads up that this would contain some tomfoolery. And I actually got inspiration for topic number 3, listening to yesterday in the discussion of Olympic sports. I know the debate started between, do you like summer sports better? Do you like winter sports better? But I came up with this. This is something I find myself thinking through during every Olympics, whether it is summer or whether it is winter. If you had started training for one of these sports when you're like 3, 4, 5 years old, which one do you think you could have been an Olympian? So which Olympic sport could you have made it to the World Games had you started training at a young age?
I'm surprised Card hasn't fired off 2 answers already.
I really want to put a little thought into this, though.
Okay.
I want to put a little bit of thought into this. Let's see. I don't know why some type of downhill winter sport comes to mind, because that's such a good lower half and base. I don't know. Maybe like
do you have a great lower half and base?
Yeah, I do.
I think me and Cart could have made a pretty fire bobsledding tandem.
Yeah,
that was my answer. I think I could have been a good bobsledder.
I'm definitely upper body deficient, but I have a very strong caboose and legs.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not providing much right now. I'm focused on you loving your own lower half right now.
There's other people out there like my lower half, but it looks of it.
All right. Handball. I think I'd be good at handball.
Why?
Because I'm an elite hand-eye coordination guy, and I think that's 99% of handball from what I've seen.
I've never been impressed with your hand-eye coordination.
What things that require hand-eye coordination have you seen me do?
Like, I feel like we're in the same room and like all of a sudden, like, hey, Greg, catch. Like, you're not catching it.
Oh no, I'm elite at that.
Really?
Ask Mal. It's a constant game, like probably 3 to 4 times a week. It's like a catch, and she just fires something
Murph?
at me. Not with Murph, no. But have I ever dropped Murph? No.
Okay.
I got hands.
Respect. Yeah, I think I go either bobsled or like half pipe snowboarding.
I love that, man. Snowboarding, that actually might be my favorite Olympic event to watch, either summer or winter.
Never be.
I don't know if
When's the last ski trip you took, Riley?
I was actually gonna say slalom skiing might be my hot take answer for what I could.
Just never beating them. You're never beating them.
I went skiing like a year and a half ago. I've gone twice in like the past 3 years. I'm an occasional skier. I'm not bad, but there's part of me that thinks if I had like lived out in Colorado and started this when I was age 3, I totally could have been a slalom skier.
I can see it.
I have one I'll throw that I think Cart's gonna get very upset at me for saying. I'm not kidding though. I think I could make an impact in 3-on-3 basketball.
I mean, what country are you representing?
So first of all, have we seen the USA 3-on-3 teams?
I have to know.
We don't exactly send our best players to the USA 3-on-3 things. I just want to say that. 2, this is not a joke, lifetime undefeated in 3-on-3 basketball in probably 120 contests.
Didn't we beat you at your bachelor party?
That was 5-on-5.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. Listen, with basketball, you would admit this. You know this is true. 5-on-5, totally different game than 3-on-3. You need more athleticism. You need more physicality. I don't have that. 3-on-3, if you have an elite floor spacer, which I am, with a great IQ, and you have the right pieces around that, it's uncontrollable. Like I won. They had like a little 3-on-3 tournament every year at IM East at Michigan State, and 4 years, never lost a game, and I was on en fuego every single year.
Okay. Remember when the first Big Ten Media Day y'all did when Greg miraculously looked like he was 6'4", 6'5"? Because I think if we get that version of Greg, maybe there's something to it. But you need those couple inches on your height.
Well, now we got that in like 25 pounds less, Greg.
Oh, that's
point.
I mean,
good point.
I was an elite floor spacer when I couldn't move, and now I'm running daily. Like I'm scared for people that have to see me in a 3-on-3 setting. Problem is, it's hard to play 3-on-3 basketball these days. Easier to play 5-on-5 than it is 3-on-3 in your 30s.
Very true.
Difficult. What's your answer though, Riley?
For my Olympic sport?
Yeah.
I still think I'd probably go bobsledding, which I looked it up in the past Winter Olympics, and the speed you hit on a bobsled definitely made me second guess that answer. I think they're going like 60, 70 miles per hour. But yeah, I feel like my skill set of I got good speed, I have good upper body strength, pretty good lower body strength as well would be conducive to being able to push the sled, run fast, jump in it. And I'm not super big. I'm under 6 feet. So, you got to think that makes me a little more aerodynamic when I'm fitting in the bobsled. So
See, that strikes me. I think it's an easy answer for you, Riley. If you locked in from day one with the skill set you have, the strength you have, you'd be a great gymnast. Like throw you on the pommel horse, throw you on the rings. I think you'd be special.
That's a good question. I don't know if my balance is like that, though. If I could have ever developed the balance enough to, I don't know, like upper body strength, I could have seen it. But the core strength balance part of it that comes on to do a pommel horse, I'm like, I don't know if that's me.
Has anyone ever told you you're built like Simone Biles?
That's disrespectful, but we can move on.
That's less disrespectful than telling Rob Dosser he's built like Abby Wambach, which Carter has said about 11 times in the last week. So
actually, you know what? Simone is pretty jacked. Like she's short. She's what, like 5'1", 5'2"? Okay, maybe exactly. I read that wrong. I'm a legit 5'10", and I told Carter last night that I'm a 5'10" rim runner on the court. And this is a message to his point guard: let Carter cook. I saw his highlights on his Instagram story last night. This man is a true point center, and I'm just saying, whenever we hoop together, I'm gonna get you a ton of assists on the fast break.
Can't wait.
Get us in a 3-on-3 setting. I promise I'll make an impact, boys. But I feel like we're just skating over my impact. Like players I've beaten in a tournament 3-on-3 setting include Denzel Valentine, Bryn Forbes, Anthony Sapp, and Colby Wallerman. These are facts, Carter.
This really happened? Was this when you were in school?
Yeah.
That's special.
These are facts.
We are sleeping.
Just a little bit. All right, let's move on. One big thing. Great topics today, Riley, as always. Thank you. What an explosive return to Riley Fridays for Riley Davis. Appreciate you being here as always. Who wants to go first on our one big thing today? I don't want to go last. I want to make that clear right now. I don't want to end the show on my negative note.
I'll go first if you don't mind, Riley.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my one big thing is I don't have one big thing. Life sucks.
All right, let's we'll stay on the negative wave, I guess, and pass it over to Greg.
It's brutal from you, but okay, I want to talk about Mel Tucker's comments. I have to do it. Sit down Q&A, whatever you want to call it. Graham Couch put it out. Mel Tucker was very blunt, basically saying that he can't build a competitive team in the Big Ten unless he is matching the quote teams that are spending $12 to $13 million a year in NIL. First of all, don't know if that number has been confirmed by anyone. Like I don't know that Ohio State is spending that. Ohio State would be the only school that is spending that because everybody else feels like they're behind Ohio State in spending. Two, I'm very confused why he's saying this for a variety of reasons. One, Mel already did compete in the Big Ten without this. He already had a great year where they beat Michigan and were one of the best teams in the Big Ten. So if he did do it already, why is he saying he can't do it? That makes no sense to me. Two, he is making Nick Saban money. And I get that his salary is different from NIL funds. I understand that. But did we not literally just see Jim Harbaugh about to get fired at Michigan? So he took a huge pay cut to stay at Michigan. And then miraculously within a year, they could afford some of the best players in the country and made a couple playoff runs. Like, this isn't geometry here. Like, this is pretty simple, straightforward. Jim got paid less. Michigan had more money. They got better players. If Michigan State needs more money, there's about $95 million that are currently being spent on a guy who coached a 5-7 team last year. Like, let's reallocate some funds if that's what we're saying we need. I just am very confused by it all. I don't get it. I don't get why he's saying this when he already did it. That's my stance. And Cart, I'm sorry to shit on your football coach, but it's our football coach. I'm a Michigan State football fan, and I'm frustrated by these words.
Yeah, they're not going to have adequate NIL funds until they invite Sleepers Media plus their ACC correspondent to the Thy Shadows events. That is what it's called, right? Thy Shadows?
Supposedly. In the
All right.
woodshed, keep chopping, tuck coming, but I need more money. I need $13 more million. That's okay. All right, sure. Great. Like, come on, man. Also, that brings me back to one more point. Okay, some of the people responding to Mel's thing, like reporters in Michigan State, were like, if the donors aren't willing to pay this extra money until they see big wins, then Mel's not the guy. Here's the problem. Isn't there a big middle ground between like 5-7 with a loss to Indiana at home when you just needed to make a 17-yard field goal to make a bowl game and like beating Ohio State? Like, Mel could probably have some momentum with the program and earn donors' trust if he just did a little small thing. Like, he doesn't need to beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten to get the money he wants from donors. He needs to beat Indiana and make a bowl game, and he couldn't do that. So, God damn it, man. I'm fired up. Can you respond, Carter, or are you just going to sit there silent? I don't like this version of you. All right, Riley, one big thing.
All right, I'll bring us home. This is something y'all teased 2 weeks ago based on a text message I sent you, and I'm going to address it. I said that I said the best 4 Creed songs are better than the best 4 Beatles songs, and I am sticking by it. Creed has some bangers. Creed slaps, whatever you want to say. Creed is the most unfairly criticized band of our generation. Go back to their early days, album My Own Prison, hit after hit after hit. The title track, My Own Prison, my favorite Creed song. One, another classic. And that's even before we get into mainstream Creed when they came on the scene with Higher. And if you are lying, if you don't like Can You Take Me Higher? I'm not going to do my Scott Stapp voice, but.
What are the 4 best Creed songs?
My favorites would be My Own Prison, One, which is on that same album, Higher, and then probably One Last Breath, the Hold Me Now I'm 15 from the Edge song.
Isn't that's 3? You said 4. The 4 best Creed songs.
No, that's 4. I said My Own Prison, number 1.
Higher.
The song called One is number 2.
Okay.
Higher is 3. One Last Breath is 4.
Okay.
I mean, it's not hard. The Beatles stink.
Yeah, I'm kind of on Team Cart with this. I like maybe 2 or 3 Beatles songs.
I mean, come on. They literally were just a boy band before boy bands were a thing. They had no comp.
How tall were the Beatles?
They are not taller than 5'7". There's no way.
This is critical.
You know when when Paul McCartney sang "I Want to Hold Your Hand" in their first hit, that man must have been reaching up to hold anybody's hand because he's like 5'4".
Riley loves slandering short kings.
Lennon and McCartney were 5'11". I can work with that. That's fine.
Are the Jonas Brothers actually 5'6"? Did you look this up?
Yes, they're 5'6", Cart.
That's crazy. All of them?
Insane. And that's the thing. They're liars. They try to play it off like they're not 5'6". Like you watch a TikTok from a Jonas Brothers concert, it's cut at an angle, like 3 rows underneath them. So they look like they're about 6'4". Okay. You never even see a picture of Nick Jonas photographed with his model wife because she's 5'10". And she's about 4 inches taller than him, but you'd never see that in the images, Cart, because they're liars. It's unbelievable.
Did they play any of their solo stuff last night, or was it just strictly the trio?
They did about 1 song from, I think, Nick and Joe's catalogs. Cake by the Ocean was by itself, and that was the best moment of the night.
Okay, Cake by the Ocean is a great song. I'm glad they played that. That would have made the night worth it.
It's a bop. Can we end the show with your Creed impression, though? I'm not going to let you out of here without a Creed impression.
Can you take me higher?
Thank you.
To a place with golden trees.
Thank you for coming to Riley Friday. It's the Sleepers Podcast. We'll see you next week. Join the Discord if you want your comments read. Have a great weekend, everybody.